also have an alternative way, which is not to perform an extrusion. So if I just suppress this now, here is my sketch, just to show you the difference. I could get my sketch and I could actually revolve that sketch, and I could revolve it around that axis. But I don't want a leg like that because it looks pretty silly. Okay, so what we want to do is not do a full revolve, but one possibly that's symmetrical, as you can see here. And instead of it being done by distance, it's now done by degrees. So that is with a 30-degree revolve. If I change that to 20, you will see, okay, that it looks a little bit narrower here, but obviously much wider. Or I could grab it with the white handle here, as you can see. We can do quite a lot. Okay, I quite like the revolve because it's quite an unusual feature in that it's wider here than here, so I'm going to keep it in this instance. So here is my leg. But before I accept, okay, I'm just going to soften up my shape by using the round or fillet tool here. I'm just going to select my edges and I'm going to add a small round onto my edge to make it look a little bit nicer and a bit softer. So I've added it on this edge, I'll add it on the opposite side, so it's a little bit nicer. I'm going to spin my work around so I can see underneath, and I'm going to add it onto this edge and this edge, which softens the overall shape, which I'll accept. And then to finish that, I'm going to add an extra fillet onto this bottom edge here. Okay, and to do this, again, I'm going to keep quite a small fillet. 0.5 is good. And what you can see is because I picked one edge, and it's now linked all the edges together to give me my round, okay, which softens my shape. We'll accept that. If you wanted to, if you did something like holes here, you could put a small round on the outside of these if you wanted to. Your feet, and you can do any kind of design that you wish. You could have one like this, you could have one like the previous extrusion version that I've just done, or one that's like a ball. Once you've done that, we need to bring them into the assembly. So here we go into the assembly now. As you can see that I've already got an example one here. However, we're just going to hide that out of view so I can show you how to assemble. So I'm going to go to the insert menu. I'm going to choose which leg that I now want. So the one I just created was my Part Studio 8, or I could get Part Studio 7. So I'm going to do both. So Part Studio 7, here it is. Here's my little foot or leg. So I'm going to spin my work around. And I'm going to also bring in the other one so it's ready in place just for later. And I'll bring in this one as well, which is one that I extruded. We'll accept and close that box. So what I want to do is get this one here, okay, and line it up with the hole. So instead of doing our planar mate as previous, what we're going to do this time is do what we call a cylindrical mate. So this is a cylindrical mate. We pick it. Now what we want to do is pick the center of our cylinder. So if you notice, here is the top of my cylinder here. If I just hover over there, the middle, you can see what that's actually doing. It's going to allow me to pick the middle of my cylinder. So that's what I'm going to pick. I'm going to zoom out, move my work upside down. I'm going to zoom into one of my cylinders. Now notice now, this is not the face that I want. I want the inside face of my cylinder, and I'm going to move until I get the center of my cylinder. And I'm going to select that, which will move the ball foot exactly into the right place. Notice here, okay, the top of the face here is level with the bottom there. And if you repeated that for each of the 4 ball feet, you would have your little stand. So there is an example. We'll just close that now. Or if I show you now how we can do it with the revolved foot, we do exactly the same thing. So we do a cylindrical mate. Now, one thing just to point out, in case this hasn't worked for you or it doesn't work for you, this part here is this part. You may notice I fixed the part so it couldn't move. So that's right click and you would choose fix here from the menu. That stops this part moving. So let me show you on this part now. We're going to do a cylindrical mate. Here's the face that I want. I want the middle. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to zoom in to the base here. I want the middle part of that one. Okay, and as you can see now, slightly different this time, slight issue, because this is now cutting through this part. So what I need to do is do my offset. So I'm going to drag my part down like we've done previously. I'm going to move my work around and I'm going to change this measurement here to 2.5. Then I'm going to just double check. Everything looks good, so then we can accept. Now, the one thing that you may notice with this now is that the leg is at the wrong angle. So I'm going to close my mate tool. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to pick my part, and I'm now going to use my arrows and bend my part around. I'm going to look at it from above. By doing that, I can get my angles much better. And here we go. Well, we just move that in there. And as you can see, what we actually want is an angle, ideally of 45 degrees. Click off it. We've got our part in place, like so. And that's where you would bring in the rest of your legs.